One night, while working as a part-time Uber driver during my university years, I decided to take one last ride before heading home. The request came from an account named Melissa, and the pickup location was about 10 minutes away. When I arrived, instead of a woman, a man in his late 40s got into the car. I hesitated for a second and asked, "For Melissa?" He nodded and said, "Yeah, my girlfriend booked it for me." Something about his response felt off, but I was exhausted and didn't press further. During the ride, he started talking about how he was finally meeting up with a girl he had been messaging for weeks. He seemed excited, saying she was young and shy, but he had convinced her to meet him alone at her place. My stomach twisted at his words. I glanced at him through the mirror, but he didn't seem to notice my discomfort. 15 minutes later, I pulled up to a quiet residential street. A teenage girl, no older than 16, stood outside, looking nervous. The man grinned and got out of the car. Something in me told me to stay. I pretended I was waiting for another ride and watched as he spoke to her. She hesitated when he gestured for her to go inside, taking small steps back. That's when I saw him grab her arm. My heart pounded. I couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in my chest. Without thinking twice, I drove a little further down the street and called the police. My hands were shaking as I described what I had seen. Minutes later, flashing lights lit up the street. The police arrived just in time. The girl had started crying, and the man was still trying to convince her to go inside. He was arrested on the spot. After investigating, they discovered he had been caught in similar situations before. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling of what could have happened if I hadn't stayed. I was just an Uber driver trying to finish my shift, but I ended up preventing something terrible, and I will never regret making that call.